I'm Theodore. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. School's almost out for the Christmas holidays. This season is the perfect opportunity to spend time with the family. In today's show, we'll show you some fantastic places right here in Jamaica where you can do just that. Stay tuned.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 7th. Persons who commit non-fatal offenses and agree to enter guilty pleas in exchange for lighter sentences could later have their records expunged from the system. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreement Act will be amended to facilitate the expungements post-guilty pleas.
Because I dare say, unless we have more guilty pleas, the backlogs in the court will never be addressed. And we're going to go on a major drive next year to get persons to admit their wrongdoing. And once they're willing to admit their wrongdoing, the state must have some mercy.
He says this would only apply to individuals who, following their sentences, have refrained from criminality and have sufficiently demonstrated that they have been rehabilitated.
So that the incentives will be there for persons to plead guilty, get the mercy of the state, and hopefully, when you go clear later on, you can have your record expunged.
Minister Chuck was speaking at a recent swearing-in ceremony for 37 new justices of the peace for St. Anne. In the meantime, the Justice Minister is also calling for cooperation to resolve the many civil cases before the courts to help clear the backlog. Minister Chuck insists that many of these civil matters can be resolved through simple mediation and lessen the tremendous burden on judges.
If the mediator can get the parties to agree, perhaps on the amount of compensation, or agree that there should be compensation, and then you get maybe the judge to say what exactly should be the amount, then we would go a far way in discharging the burden on the court.
The MS Monarch cruise ship, which is operated by Pullmantur, is considering Kingston as one of the ports of call on its itinerary for the next 3 years. This announcement came after the cruise ship docked at the Kingston wharves for the first time yesterday. It's the largest cruise ship to ever call on the port. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, who was on hand to welcome the cruise ship, says much is being done to improve the product offering of Kingston.
We have always felt that destination Kingston has a particular allurement, a particular charm, and a value of its own that is impatient of recognition.
The MS Monarch cruise ship had 2,700 passengers on board, and over 400 of them were taken to Ocho Rios during yesterday's short port of call. Another 1,000 passengers were shuttled to locations in Kingston, including Port Royal, Devon House, the Bob Marley Museum, the National Gallery of Jamaica, Emancipation Park, and the Craft Market.
And one of the exciting aspects of the shore excursion experiences is to provide an opportunity for expenditure off the ship and also for movement of people from the ship.
Meanwhile, the ports of Falmouth, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, and Kingston hosted a combined 6 cruise vessels on Tuesday. This was the second time in the past 4 years that a large number of ships simultaneously called on Jamaica. In 2012, a record 7 ships made calls on Falmouth, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, and Port Antonio.
The fact is that we are now trending in a manner that suggests that we are going to overtake the Bahamas in short order. At the rate at which we're going next year, we hope we'll be at 2 million, and that will take us into excess of the 4 million arrivals that we require to move towards our target of 5 million in the next 4 years and to earn $5 billion.
Jamaica currently plays host to the biggest cruise ships on the planet. 3 Royal Caribbean Oasis luxury vessels, Harmony of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, and Oasis of the Seas. Drafting of the first 2 codes of practice to enable further recognition of the Disabilities Act will begin next month. Minister of Labour and Social Security, Shahini Robinson, made the announcement on Sunday. She was speaking at the Grace Baptist Church in a service to mark the start of Disabilities Awareness Week. Minister Robinson said the 2 codes, one for education and training and the other for employment, were the areas of priority for the coming financial year.
Preliminary information to assist in the formulation of these codes and regulations was gathered from island-wide stakeholders' consultations last year, and expertise is currently being procured to advance this process. We anticipate that this work should begin in January 2017 and be completed within 10 months for transmission to the Chief Parliamentary Council for review.
Funds to draft the first 2 codes of practice are being made available through the World Bank's Social and Economic Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities project. 15% of the Jamaican population are known to be persons with disabilities. Minister Robinson says her ministry will be updating its database of disabled persons in order to ensure that this group receives needed assistance.
This will enable the ministry to effect more data-centered planning for this important group.
Disabilities Awareness Week is being observed from December 3 to 10 under the theme Inclusive Information Communication Technologies, the Way to the Future. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, is urging party promoters to get the relevant permits before hosting events. These include permits from the Jamaica Fire Brigade and the Jamaica Music Society, as well as a spirits license. Head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, explains that organizers need to submit applications for a permit from the JCF at least 10 days prior to the event. The request should be made to the superintendent or the senior police officer in charge of the parish or division in which the event is being held.
You need to provide information as to the type of event, the nature of event, who your target group is, and the number of persons that are expected to be in attendance. All these will have to be presented to the superintendent before it is granted. You also have for Kingston and St. Andrew, there's a special KCC permit that you must have. In the parishes, the parish council also issue this entertainment permit that will allow you to host these events.
Superintendent Lindsay was addressing a recent JIS think tank. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
Summer is not the only time to go to the beach. Fortunately for us, we have the climate where we can go all year round. This Christmas holiday, consider taking the whole family for a trip to Fort Clarence Beach in St. Catherine.
Fort Clarence Beach, located in the Hellshire area of Portmore, St. Catherine, is like an oasis for patrons.
I've been coming to the Hellshire Beach area now for over 45 years. It is my getaway place for solitude, for meditation, for relaxation. I like the fact that it has a large beach area. It also has a long front on the beach which allows me some jogging facilities. It's also beautiful and I find there's no harassment.
It's far from the maddening crowd. There's a little place to retreat. I find early mornings quite good.
It is for these reasons and more why the Urban Development Corporation UDC is embarking on a multi-million-dollar upgrading of the Fort Clarence Beach. One aspect of the work was recently put up for tender, and the work will begin in phases to make the visitor experience even more memorable and exciting.
Phase 1, we will be constructing a new administrative building, and Phase 2, we will be upgrading the entrance facade, upgrading our sanitary facilities, providing additional concessionaire facilities, and upgrading our recreational park. And Phase 3, we will be looking at constructing a new recreational house.
Phase 1 will be done at a cost of approximately $15 million, and once the work begins, it will last anywhere between 4 to 6 months. The budget is still being finalized for the other 2 phases, but they're expected to last for 18 months. The upgrading project supports the long-term vision of making the Fort Clarence Beach Park a more interactive environment with value-added amenities.
Which is why we are pursuing various development activities to position or reposition ourselves as the premier family and leisure entertainment facility within the Kingston metropolitan region and broader within Jamaica and the Caribbean.
The 8-acre property has so much more to offer than sun, sea, and sand. The recreational park caters to the entire family, plus the beach park area can be used for football or volleyball, and the large parking area is quite adequate.
That allows us to provide a unique value proposition to our customers, especially combined with the fact that we are a licensed beach facility and we have certified lifeguards on location. We provide sanitary facilities and we have security here as well. So it's a one-stop shop.
And there is more to the offerings of the property.
One popular purpose for which patrons use Fort Clarence is for special events. Could be parties, could be meetings, or just a simple get-together to enjoy some good vibes and have a good time. We have a broad range of culinary offerings. We have the traditional fried fish and bami, as well as a range of other seafood. But for those who are not particularly interested in the seafood, we have other meals available such as a jerk chicken, fried chicken, curry chicken, etc.
The facility is open Wednesdays to Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Entrance fee is $100 for patrons 4 to 12 years and $250 for those aged 13 and over. And with the summer holidays fast approaching,
our patrons should come out, enjoy the facility, relax, take a break from the busyness of the day-to-day life, and just have a good time and enjoy some good vibes.
The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen within its creational facilities for our enjoyment.
Driver, slow down and stop the reckless overtaking, no?
You never hear so time is money.
Easy, driver. Why no be must man and taxi driver drive so bad?
Why him have to drive so hard? Me not gonna make you kill off me and me picnic them.
One stop driver. Make her come off this bus. Me say stop.
Me coming with you. The rest of you not take chance in your life. Lord of mercy. That could have been us.
And look how we want the money.
Passengers, your safety is in your hands. Say one-stop driver and get off if the driver is speeding, overtaking recklessly, and not obeying the rules of the road. Don't give away your life. It is too precious.
So if the beach is not your space, consider going into the cool, cool hills. The Blue and John Crow Mountains, recently recognized for its cultural significance, provides an opportunity to not only be at one with nature, but also to explore some of our history and culture.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island we have.
Its culture and nature magically intertwined, one of the reasons that make this World Heritage Site special. Come with us to the Blue and John Crow Mountains. There is much to see, touch, smell, and taste up in these hills.
You can just come in for the day, sit, relax, have your barbecue, go hike on our hiking trails. You can have a tour guide if you so desire to take you on the trail. You can also bring your tent and you can camp overnight. In the Blue Mountain Peak area, you can hike to the Blue Mountain Peak, go to the ice point, come back to Portland Gap where you can rest. The attraction at the peak itself is people hike up in the night, stop at the cabins, right? And then 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll get up out your bed, hike on the trail for another 2 hours to the peak itself to see the sunrise. It is beautiful.
This is where peace is. Talk about getting away from the hustle and bustle of life. This is the place to be. It's cool nature, yes, often cold, particularly in the latter part of the year. But you'll be easily warmed by the best tasting coffee and dance the day away with captivating traditional entertainment. Yes, the Blue and John Crow Mountains has it all. You leave amazed, not believing it all exists in one place, some 4,000 feet above sea level. High up, where it feels like you can touch the clouds, where you can watch birds making their nests, playing among their flock.
How it gets its name, the blue. If you're in Kingston looking in the hills or on the hills, you would see the color blue on the mountain. The John Crow part of it is our ancestors used to hunt wild boar and take it to the other parishes to sell to the different parishes. So what is not sold off, they would leave it, they wouldn't take it back home, and then the John Crow will come down and clean up after they leave.
Don't be fooled though. This site is huge, impossible to fully discover in a day, maybe not even in a week. It spans 4 parishes: St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary, and St. Thomas. Just over 26,000 hectares, and is the preservation zone of the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, which itself is just over 48,000 hectares. The Blue and John Crow Mountains is one of 32 World Heritage Sites listed for both cultural and natural heritage. There are over 1,357 flowering plants, with over 25% being endemic. All Jamaica's 30 endemic birds can be found in the area. Dozens of herbal plants to cure almost every ailment.
This is called the headache bush. You can use it as a painkiller. So if you have an headache or a stomach ache, you could boil it. Like a tea, have a 2 or 3 leaves to a cup of water. You remember they used to send telegrams, right? In the early days, this is what they used to use, like the ancestors, the Maroons. They would write on this and send it. If you carve on it, it will stay without green or dry. And the information, you could use this and send the information like a letter.
And it provides that precious commodity.
The Blue and John Crow Mountain provide 45% of Jamaica drinking water. There are 25 watersheds in the entire Jamaica, and 10 of those watersheds can be found in the Blue and John Crow Mountain National Park.
On the cultural side, the Maroons take center stage. Once a refuge for runaway slaves, it remains home for their descendants. Their way of life is an intriguing history lesson for the unknown. There you may imbibe on authentic foods and dive into the inviting Nanny Falls.
The interesting thing is that so few of us Jamaicans take advantage of the opportunity that we have up here in terms of the relaxation, the climate.
Don't allow foreigners to know this World Heritage Site more than you. Remember, when you go, take only pictures and leave only footprints. For a tour inside the Blue and John Crow Mountains, call the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust 960-2848-9 or 920-8278.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
And if going up to the mountains is not your thing, you're the sit-at-home type, we'll take the excitement to you. Here's a special invitation to journey with us right now to Morant Keys for an interesting look at migratory birds as they make a stop on these miniature islands.
The Jamaican sunrise sets the morning on fire, and the islands of the Morant Keys shimmer in its orange glow. Suddenly, there's another burst of energy. The silence is pierced by a terrible noise, and the sky is transformed into a sea of flapping wings. These are the birds of the Keys. They're what are known as seabirds. That is, birds that only come to land when nesting. The sooty tern, royal tern, brown noddy, laughing gull, and the magnificent frigate bird are all inhabitants of the Keys. They nest here each year between the months of April and August. Most birds lay a single egg on the ground. Because nesting is done primarily on the ground, the eggs are vulnerable to predators. Thus, the color of the eggs acts as a camouflage. They are cream to light brown in color with dark brown spots that blend in with the sand, making identification pretty difficult. Seabird colonies are rare on the Jamaican mainland, making offshore islets such as those of the Morant Keys important areas for nesting. At last count, the number of nesting birds numbered 240,000, and this was on just one of the 4 keys comprising the Morant Keys. The Keys lie approximately 60 kilometers southeast of Morant Point and 90 kilometers southeast of Kingston. These are the sooty terns. They are the dominant species on the Keys and come all the way here to nest after roaming the tropical seas of the world. They are very territorial and defend aggressively what is known as their pecking distance. This is the total space around which their beaks can extend while they're on the nest. Sooty terns are one of the most abundant of the world's tropical seabirds, and when away from breeding habitats can only be seen from a boat at sea. One of their most distinctive marks is a deeply forked tail. This is followed by the white of the forehead that extends to the eyes. Because of these marks, the birds are highly distinguishable, especially when in flight. This regal-looking bird is the royal tern, an egg bird that produces an egg that looks like that of the sooty tern. It is a much larger bird than the sooty tern and brown noddy, identifiable by its bright orange-yellow bill and shock of elongated black feathers at the top and back of its head. They too nest on the sand among the only vegetation that grows on this barren sandbar, the seaside parsley. Because of its size and coloring, the royal tern really stands out among the other birds of the Key. However, the most superior bird on the Key, in terms of size, is the magnificent frigate bird, or man-o'-war, as it is commonly called. It measures between 94 and 104 centimeters, with a long forked tail and slender pointed wings that are bent sharply at the wrist. Its habit of floating motionless in the air makes this bird easily identifiable, and while adult males appear entirely black when on the ground, females are distinguished by a shock of white at the breast. Young frigate birds appear brownish black with white feathers on their heads and breast. Unlike the other egg birds, the magnificent frigate does not nest directly on the ground, but builds a nest out of sticks and shrubs. And as they are very sensitive to disturbances while incubating, they are confined to the most remote of the islets, such as those of the Morant Keys. When summer comes to a close, so too does the stay of these magnificent seabirds of the Keys. Like a great cloud, they will darken the sky, wings flapping feverishly to take them back to the world's oceans. Not all will survive the journey, but for those that make it back the next year, the Keys will provide a safe enough haven where the egg birds may propagate, thus ensuring the survival of their species.
'Tis the season for giving, but at the end of it, you will still need money to take care of yourself and your family. So while you're bringing Christmas cheer, here are a few tips to ensure that your new year is as joyful as the holidays. Before doing your Christmas shopping, make a budget and decide how much you're going to spend on gifts and recreational activities. To save money on gifts, consider giving handmade gifts or services such as cooking a meal or cleaning for someone. Another way to limit spending this holiday is to find activities that are free or relatively cheap to do with the family. Go to the park, take a trip to the beach, or just visit loved ones. If you are throwing a Christmas party, instead of buying all that food to cook, have a potluck. Invite each person to take a dish to the party. Enjoy yourself this holiday, but try not to break the budget so you have money going into 2017. This will ensure you are better able to take care of yourself and your family and play your part in making Jamaica the place of choice. Period. That's all we have for you today. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Let us know what you thought about today's show. Send us an email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Don't forget to visit our website at jis.gov.jm. Follow us on Twitter at JIS News or like our Facebook page. I'm Theodore. On behalf of the entire production team, stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.